Yes, I know. I'm not wearing a hat. I get it. I wear a hat all the time. But I just got back from getting my hair cut, so I figured since I spent money to get my hair cut, I should probably not wear the hat until tomorrow. Tomorrow it's okay to put the hat back on. Roll the thing. Hey guys, Sean here. So it is Friday, March 29th, and it is day one of Wondercon 2019. As I have stated, I do have a professional badge this year like I did last year. Really, pretty much all that means is that I got it for free as opposed to having to pay for it. That's the only major difference between a professional badge and the regular attendee badge. So what do I have planned for this year? I really don't have much. There's a panel for the Marvel Cloak and Dagger TV show that's on, I believe it's on Freeform, but you can watch it on Hulu, and the season 2 of it is coming out soon, so I would like to see that. There's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel tomorrow, and there's a few other panels. There's a Geek and Sundry panel somewhere in there. There's a Nerdist panel in there somewhere, and just other than that, walking around, looking at stuff. I'm scheduled to give blood later today, because that's something they do here, and it's time for me to do it again, so that'll be something. All in all, I'm hoping I can get some good footage using the tiny Sony camera that I've been trying to use for the past however long since I got it. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully this isn't another situation where they're like, you can't come in here with that, and then I'm like, what? Why not? We're not allowing those types of cameras. And then I'm like, okay, and I go back to my car, and then when I come back, I go in and I see someone that has it exactly the way I had it set up. And I'm like, how did he get in here? But whatever. That did happen at once at a previous con. So anyway, I did get here early enough to actually get a parking space in the parking structure, so that's good. However, that's probably just because it's Friday, so not as many people show up on Friday. So we'll see tomorrow and Sunday if the same thing happens, because if I don't park in the parking structure, it's such a pain. I don't know where I end up having to park, and it's just such a hassle. All right, let's get this started. So as I stated, yeah, I got to WonderCon a little early to get a parking space. How early? Well, it was about an hour and a half until the doors opened. So I found a bench and put my backpack down and turned on the camera. This camera that I've been trying to find use for. And it was on the monopod and sutured to my backpack. So that's what this is. That's what you're seeing right now, is all the people walking by being recorded with this camera. So I did it for about 20 minutes straight. So this will make a good background for something. I don't know. Good for right now anyway. So yeah, basically sat there for an hour. I think I got caught up on Twitter, because that's what I'm always doing. I watched the people in costumes walk by. I stared at this giant picture of Zachary Levi for not too long, but it was there. But eventually it was time to go in, so that's what I did. So I picked up my bag and walk towards the front. Now the camera is on my backpack and it is pointed off to the side a little bit, so right here you can see my reflection, but yeah, so it's pointed to the side, because if it was a little bit more this way, you would see the side of my head, and I figured that probably wasn't the best. So this is actually the first that I have looked at this footage. So I honestly don't even know how it looks. So far it looks pretty jerky. But as I said, this was all a test to see how this worked. And honestly, this would probably be even more jerky if I was using my iPhone. Because this camera has a image stabilization. So, oh, there's a Power Ranger. And it doesn't really show that it has an image stabilization so much in this footage, but keep in mind it's basically like right here on my backpack, well, more like back here on my backpack, and as I'm stepping, it's you know, it's going like this with each step. So when you realize just how shaky it actually is, this image isn't as shaky as it should be. There's a Freddie Mercury. So yeah, this goes for like another 15 minutes or so. I kind of made this as kind of a B-roll for background as well. And yeah, I don't know if I'll ever use it, but I have it should I need it. So yeah, actually I stopped at the wall that had the WonderCon logo all over it, and I recorded with the camera pointing at my face, and apparently that didn't actually record. Apparently I didn't record when I thought I was recording. So then I just walked around again for, there's a nice bathroom shot. I walked around again for another 22 minutes. So now I have 22 more minutes of this. You'll see here that walking against the wall isn't the best because the camera's pointed at the wall. But yeah, you'll see there's booths like this. There's a whole bunch. Giant G.I. Joes. I don't know where those came from. That's fancy. And a sign that says touch our balls. That's class. There's that guy there. There's a Star Trek ensign there for you, taking pictures. So yeah, the camera did jut into seeing me a lot more than I thought it did. But as I said, this was a trial run. This was a, how does this look? There's an Ultraman there. There's a whole bunch of Ultramans there, actually. That's the Kotobukiya booth. They have a lot of various things. If you can't tell, I'm looking at the footage that you're seeing behind me. That's why I'm looking down. So, but anyway, yeah, there's Ultraman. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's some really awesome 90s X-Men statues. I'm not going to go through all of this because, as I said, it's 22 minutes long. I'll use it someday for something, maybe. But once I finished walking around for what I guess was almost an hour, it was time to go to the first panel that I wanted to go to. And that was a panel for Phil LaMarr. Now, Phil LaMarr is an actor and voice actor. I don't know why I need to put those separate because they're essentially the same thing. He was in the original cast of Mad TV. He was in Pulp Fiction. He's been on a lot of TV shows, but then also he has done a whole lot of voiceover work. He was the voice of Samurai Jack. He was the voice of Hermes. What's his name? Hermes on Futurama. He's the voice of the Jon Stewart Green Lantern on Justice League. He's just done a ton of voices, and when I read comics and there's an African American character, an African American male character, his voice is generally the one that I hear because that's how prominent he is in the world of voiceover, that majority of African American males are voiced by him. There's him, Kevin Michael Richardson, and Dave Fennoy. They're pretty much the three main African American voice actors. So he basically had a spotlight panel. It was one of the main things advertised for WonderCon is Phil LaMarr spotlight panel which essentially means it was a panel just for him. There was a Q&A, and if he liked the question, he actually gave out signed pictures. So I think he ended up giving out 3 signed pictures, which then after that he did have a signing meet and greet. So I'm sure that the pictures that he was giving then, you probably had to pay $25 for. Last year, it was either at WonderCon or Kamikaze, I did meet him. I waited in line to meet him, but I'd run out of money by that point, so I didn't get a signed picture of him. I just wanted to talk to him and tell him the whole, when I read comics, I hear your voice. And then, yeah, this year I didn't wait in line to get a signed picture from him, because when he was doing that, I was doing something else, so, yeah. Anyway, good dude. Phil Lamar, he's great. He was on Mad TV when it was still a good show, before it got ruined by 3 characters that just appeared every single week. But I digress. So next up, I went to a panel that was entitled Building a Geek Brand That Changes the World. That's a lot to promise. And so the panelists included Tony B. Kim, who is the owner and operator of Hero Within, which is a clothing line that essentially he was like, hey, there's really cool clothing for women that is based on female superheroes and stuff. What if there was cool clothing for men too, like geeky stuff? And so, yeah, that's kind of what that was. It is a little weird though, because it's like, that already exists. There's lots of cool geeky clothing for men. At least I think it's cool. Maybe I'm not the best judge of what's cool. And then also Rachel Lifton, who was a cosplayer and author. Elvin Zuleta, who is the creator of Nerdbot Media. I have heard of Nerdbot, but I don't really know much about them. Ivy Doomkitty, who is a cosplayer. I had heard of her. And then Trisha Hirschberger. Now, Trisha Hirschberger, I met last year at WonderCon. And then I ran into her again at E3, so she was kind of the main reason I was seeing this panel. And it was a good panel. I enjoyed it. It's basically a group of diverse geek people that don't fit the norm of geek, what you think when you think of geeks and what you think of when you think of geeks and nerds. What the white male, the awkward white male. It's basically like, hey, even if you aren't an awkward white male, you can also have a career in all things geekdom and nerddom. Now, there's a lot of those panels. There's a lot of panels about that, like, hey, diversity, LGBTQ, not just white males, not just awkward white males can do stuff in this field too. So please, try it. We need the voices. And so after that, that's when I went and gave blood, because it was time again. And they were having a blood drive there, so I had signed up with the Red Cross the night before to have a time to go give blood, so that's my thing now. Now that I found out that I'm the universal donor, every time I can give blood, I do now. I think if I do it enough, within a year they give me something. So that's what I'm trying to do this year. I want them to give me something, because giving blood is about being selfish and getting something in return. And then I stepped out on the balcony and set up the camera and pointed it at the fountains. And here you can see this is where a bunch of cosplayers will gather to take pictures in front of the fountain. It's one of the more popular things to do, is gather in front of this fountain and take pictures. And I've got about 10 minutes of this, so that's something else that can be used as a background. So after that, I walked around a little bit more, and then it was time to go to another panel that had Trisha Hirschberger on it, and that was the Screen Junkies panel. Now, the Screen Junkies is a channel on YouTube that does movie reviews and television reviews, and I think that's it. I think they do just TV and movies. I don't think they do video games or comics. But, so many movies and TV shows revolve around comics now that I guess, in a way, they do comics as well. But they've been around for a long time, and the most famous thing that they do is Honest Trailers. And if you don't know what Honest Trailers is, well, I guess they're trailers that are honest. I don't know. They're trailers that poke fun at the movie that they're based on, essentially. So for this panel, they had made a honest trailer for Wondercon, like a trailer for Wondercon. That was really funny. I wish they had posted it on YouTube, but they didn't. And then they showed the newest Honest Trailers episode, which was for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'll put a link to that up there. There's a card up there you can click on if you're on one of the things that accepts cards, and you can watch that. And then they did a live version of one of their other shows, Movie Fights, which is where people get together and they're given a topic and then they have to argue, basically like a debate club, sort of which is better in this certain genre of movie or what have you. Like, it's another nerdy show. So after this panel, they went out into the hall to meet people that wanted to meet them, to stick around and meet them, because by that point it was 8 o'clock at night, so surprisingly not a lot of people stuck around. So I got to meet essentially all the people that were best known from Screen Junkies. I made sure to put everyone's name down so that I would remember who all I met. So first up, there is Joe Starr, who is one of the producers and writers and on-camera talents, and then Dan Murrell, who is also one of them. They're both kind of the writers of the Honest Trailers and stuff. And then there's John Bailey, who is the voice of Honest Trailers. He's known as the epic voice guy because he has a booming epic voice that he can do. And then Hal Rudnick, who is the main on-camera person for Screen Junkies. And he doesn't actually work for Screen Junkies, though. He's an independent contractor who just hosts a lot of their shows. I didn't know that. That was like one of the first things I asked him when I met him. I was like, so do you actually work for Screen Junkies, or are you an independent contractor? Because I kind of thought he was. And then I talked to Trisha Hirschberger again, because I mean, she was there and she waited, and she actually remembered me from the 2 times last year, so I'm memorable. So that was a lot of fun. I got to meet all those people and talk to them and tell them how much I enjoy the stuff that they do. And that's, as I have said many times, when it comes to going to conventions, that's one of the main things I like, is meeting people that do things that I enjoy. One second. This guy's getting in trouble, so I had to go stop him. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. So yeah, that's going to do it for day 1 of WonderCon. I believe I'm just going to do day 2 in next week's video. So, yeah, look forward to that. That's probably when I will also do the convention who I met board. If you've seen my now annual tradition for conventions, I have a board that I will put the people that I met for each convention up on it. You'll see it next week, because I'll do it next week, because I do have one other person to add to it. But anyway, let me know if you went to WonderCon this year. What did you see? What did you enjoy? Who did you meet? What did you buy? Anything you want to talk about WonderCon. But if you have more stuff, feel free to save it for next week, because you can also put it in the comments next week, because it'll be, next week's video will also be about, you get it. You understand. You're smart. I assume you're smart. You're watching me. Only smart people watch me. That's what I'm saying. Also good looking. You're smart and good looking if you watch me. Tell your friends. Do they want to be smart and good looking? They should be watching me. And while you're down there, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more of the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to help support the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit up my Patreon. Link is in the description. And with that, have a good however long it is until you watch my next video.